Welcome to the Northwestern Vermont Model Railroad Association Model Railroad HO scale we call the Northwestern Vermont, or the NWV. Today I want to talk a little bit about the town of Plainfield. This is Plainfield here, a little overview of it. In the past year and a half or so, another member and I have been working on the scenery elements here in Plainfield, and we've made a number of changes. We tried not to change the basic layout. We didn't change the track work. We didn't change the businesses any. The customers of the railroad are still the same. But we changed some of the scenery, some of the backdrop, as you can see in the right there. We changed some of the buildings. And I'm going to try to intersperse some images I took before we started as I go along. To begin with, one of the problems we had here in Plainfield was this is a dark corner of our facility here. And so I put up above here a motion sensor light to give us a lot more light here. That helped considerably. And I also added some more light in the form of some little fairy lights, whatever you want to call those. Another thing I did, I'm going to try and start from the back and move to the front of the area, so I'm going to start up top. Another thing I did is there used to be a sign on the wall here that said Plainfield, and rather than having a sign that says Plainfield, I thought I'd put up a plane pulling a banner that said Plainfield. Now, there are some big changes that we did to the backdrop here. First of all, George and I painted some clouds. They aren't the best clouds, but they're the best we could do. And then the other thing we did was we added photo backdrops. Most of these come from Lark products. We did some photo backdrops on another section of the layout about 2 years ago. And we liked how they worked, but felt that it would be better to work with we printed them out, or I took them up to, took the image files over to Staples, and I had them print them. And they didn't really come out very good, in my opinion. So what we did this time is we purchased the photo printed from Lark Products, is who made them. And I'll hopefully remember to put a link down below to their website. They were very helpful, and I really like how the images came out. One of the things we wanted to do was to force people's eyes to come down and not get caught in backdrop images. And I think having a natural backdrop really helps with that, because it all fits together. It looks right. One of the major scenic elements we have here is there's a bridge over in the backdrop, and that goes through to a staging yard on the other side. And the bridge covers up the hole in the wall. We wanted to keep that element. We didn't want to modify it that much. I did paint it a lighter, it was a really dark gray before. I painted it more of a concrete color. And then I tried to use some forced perspective and put some N-scale cars on there, and it just didn't work because it's an HO scale bridge. And I didn't want to remove the bridge. So we stuck with HO scale scenery in the backdrop there. And I said, well, how are we going to tie things in? Because, well, if I can show you it, hopefully I'll find an old picture that shows it. But there was a road that went from that bridge down into this area over here. And it was like hugely steep. It was way too steep. And it just didn't fit. So what we decided to do was plant a bunch of trees there and cover up the fact that the bridge, well, the road just ends there. And then what we did was, with the other end of it, tied it into the backdrop image. And I was able to ask Lark Products to measure, I measured the width of the road back there, and I found a photograph that had the road going off into the backdrop like that. And I asked them to match the width. I think it's 3 inches or 3.5 inches or something like that. And then we put a house over there to the left to force your eye to think about that being three-dimensional. We have the pickup truck parked in front of the store there, the general store in the corner, and there's actually a man standing there too. So we have those elements to tie the real physical three-dimensional world into the two-dimensional backdrop. The other thing I wanted to do was, when we set out here, there used to be like an entire village in here. Sorry about my hand shaking. We had a whole entire village right in there. And it didn't, again, it didn't really fit. It was too tight. And rather than put in, 6 or 10 buildings in there, we decided to just put a couple. And I like the idea of putting a church there because it makes a vertical element into the scene and kind of helps to cover up the fact that the bridge goes to nowhere. So I wanted the church to be there towards the backdrop, towards the bridge. And then we have that lovely station that's came from a estate donation to our organization. And I thought it looked really nice. It's kind of similar to the North Bennington, Vermont Railroad station. So we put that in there, and then we decided we have this marble works here. And well, the marble works needs to have an office building, so we have that little red building there and a shed to put stuff in with a Texaco sign on it. And then my wife said, well, you need to have a cemetery by the church. So we put a cemetery in there. So again, working from the backdrop forward. Now, we didn't do any changes over here, and I'll show you briefly. We haven't made any changes other than, again, the backdrop and the photo images in the backdrop. We've added some trees. Oh, we have to do some more trees down there. I see this, a little bit of an old backdrop showing down in there. It's one of the advantages of, one of the reasons to do this video is to allow us to see how things look and take a closer look at what we've been doing. So moving forward from the backdrop, we decided to leave the, again, major customers we didn't want to mess with. That's from the old layout. This section of the layout used to be downstairs, 2 floors down from where we are now. And we cut this whole section out and brought it upstairs. That was in the old building. And so we kept that. And we kept the lumber company over here, but we changed the building. The building that was there, I don't remember now. It's been a couple of years. But we took, I think that's a Revell Rico station, I believe, and 2 of them, again, estate donations to our organization. We cut them up, right? I took a saw to them and cut them up, and George, my friend, glued them together and made the roof and added the details, and then he started with lights. And so we have lots of lights in this building. That's cool. So I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please leave a thumbs up down below, and check out the NWV next time you're in Northwestern Vermont, up in Essex Junction. Take care now. Bye.